Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we dive deeply into the complex and intricate world of narcissism, exploring the psychological dynamics that unfold in relationships with narcissistic individuals. Our discussion will encompass a wide range of scenarios, shedding light on how one can maintain dignity and control while interacting with narcissists. So, sit back, relax, and let's embark on this enlightening journey together. When dealing with a narcissist, certain actions can have a profound impact on them, unsettling their mental state for a long time, or perhaps even indefinitely. One such action involves responding with dignity and acceptance when a narcissist decides to sever ties with you. Narcissists, by their very nature, possess a unique understanding of the mental states of the people they choose to discard. They are acutely aware of the emotional dependencies these individuals have developed on them over time. Narcissists recognize that these individuals, often codependent, rely heavily on them for emotional sustenance and support. They perceive these people as weak, lacking the necessary independence to lead a self-sufficient life. Narcissists note that these individuals often do not have alternative sources of support, given that the narcissist would have assumed multiple roles in their lives. They might have been a confidant, a mentor, a provider, or a friend, playing various roles that made the person dependent on them. This is a calculated maneuver by the narcissist to ensure that the person they discard feels a severe sense of loss and disorientation. However, when the discarded party accepts the narcissist's decision to part ways with a sense of grace and acceptance, it can truly unsettle the narcissist. This response is unexpected and counter to the narrative the narcissist has constructed in their mind. It challenges their belief about the individual's dependency on them and shakes the narcissist's self-perceived importance. By accepting the discard with dignity, you are essentially telling the narcissist that their presence in your life is not as critical as they believed it to be. This can be incredibly disorienting for the narcissist, who thrives on the control and power they believe they have over others. To summarize, while there are numerous ways to unsettle a narcissist, one of the most effective methods is to accept their decision to part ways gracefully. This quiet strength can deliver a significant blow to the narcissist's ego and potentially keep them unhinged for a long time, sometimes indefinitely or nearly so. When a narcissist decides to sever ties, they are often convinced that the person they are discarding will struggle in their absence, yearn for the narcissist's return, and perhaps even beg for their presence back in their lives. They anticipate that their absence will create a vacuum, leaving the discarded individual in a challenging situation for an extended period. The narcissist's perception is rooted in control and power. They believe their departure will cause significant emotional turmoil, leaving the person they discard in a state of longing and despair. However, an unexpected reaction can completely throw off a narcissist's expectations and calculations. Imagine, instead of being plunged into a state of misery and devastation, the discarded individual calmly accepts the decision. They nod in agreement, displaying a maturity and grace that the narcissist did not anticipate. They may not verbally express their acceptance, but their demeanor and attitude convey a sense of peace and acceptance. This reaction can be deeply unsettling for a narcissist as it challenges their perception of control and power. It shows them that the person they discarded is capable of moving on, accepting the situation, and continuing their life without the narcissist's presence. This reaction can potentially leave the narcissist in a state of disarray as they grapple with the unexpected display of strength and resilience. For those who are new to dealing with narcissistic individuals, the experience can be overwhelming. If it's your first time being in a relationship with a narcissist, experiencing their psychological manipulations, and if you're not familiar with the concept of narcissism and personality disorders, the experience can be especially devastating. When you're discarded or heavily devalued, it is likely to impact you significantly, placing you in a challenging situation that might take a considerable amount of time to recover from, potentially years. The emotional roller coaster of being idealized and then devalued can leave lasting scars, making it difficult to trust and form healthy relationships in the future. Navigating the complex labyrinth of relationships with narcissists can be a daunting task, especially for those who have experienced it once or twice before. Once you've been through this grueling process, you begin to notice certain patterns and behaviors indicative of narcissistic tendencies. You may be embarking on a new relationship, getting to know someone new, and start recognizing familiar signs. You suspect that they might be a narcissist because you've encountered such personalities before. Though narcissists come in different shades and varieties, there are certain commonalities they share, certain patterns your intuition picks up on. Imagine finding yourself in such a situation again, anticipating the impending narcissistic behaviors. You notice the initial phase of love bombing, where everything seems perfect, but soon enough, words and actions start to diverge. They begin to withdraw tactfully, withholding attention and affection, only to return as if nothing happened. You witness the onset of heavy devaluation. You see the signs and sense the impending discard, but play along, not giving away any signs that you've figured out their game, that you understand their true nature. The narcissist might still believe you are deeply dependent on them, weakened and isolated from others, convinced you can't survive without them. And then they decide to discard you, but because you've experienced this before, you're mentally prepared for it. You accept their decision, knowing it's the best course of action. This moment marks a significant shift in the dynamic. You reclaim full control while the narcissist loses theirs. They failed to get the emotional response they were expecting from you. They were banking on your misery to fuel their sense of self-importance, but your unexpected acceptance throws them off balance. If you withdraw from them, cut off all access, and carry on with your life, the narcissist is left feeling that they haven't managed to inflict any real harm. This realization can be deeply unsettling for them. Accepting their decision to discard you, especially when they were expecting you to protest, can be one of the most effective ways to counter a narcissist. It's one of the worst things you can do to a narcissist. Accepting their discard. It may seem ironic, but that's the reality of dealing with narcissists. Their thought processes don't align with those of most people. They thrive on the emotional turmoil of others, so denying them the satisfaction can be a powerful strategy. In dealing with narcissists, maintaining your composure and moving forward with your life can be a powerful strategy. You don't harbor ill will towards them or beg for their return. Instead, you make it challenging for them to keep tabs on your life, giving them minimal visibility into your affairs. Perhaps the only glimpses they get of your life are through social media or mutual acquaintances. Even these sources provide only scanty information, insufficient to satisfy the narcissist's curiosity. This lack of insight into your life can further destabilize a narcissist. Not only have you reclaimed your control and stopped feeding their ego with your emotional reactions, but you've also pulled the rug from under their feet. To quench their ego, they need to know your current state and what's happening in your life, so as to maintain some semblance of control over you. However, when you deny them this as well, it becomes a bitter pill for them to swallow. They struggle to accept that they underestimated you, as it strikes a blow to their ego and shatters their facade of supreme confidence. They might not readily accept the truth, but the fact remains they did underestimate you. It becomes a challenge for them to concoct a plausible narrative that they can convince themselves of. They know deep down that denying they underestimated you is not the truth. They are fond of deceiving themselves with falsehoods, but it's tough for them to fabricate a lie they can believe in to make themselves feel better. This cognitive dissonance sends them into an endless mental loop. They strive to concoct a story, that will appease their bruised ego, but to no avail. They remain stuck in this infinite loop, unable to find a satisfactory resolution. This frustration often leads to a desperate need to wedge themselves back into your life. However, the question remains, how can they achieve this without losing face? This predicament becomes a significant challenge for them. If you reject their attempts to return, or choose to ignore them, it inflicts another blow to their ego without resolving the initial problem. They find themselves in a worse situation than before, with their predicament going from bad to worse. This scenario is a stark example of how a simple, dignified response can throw a narcissist off balance, leaving them in a state of perpetual unease. In the psychological maze of a narcissist's mind, they often find themselves trapped in an endless loop, akin to a record playing on repeat. They yearn to reconnect with you, to restore some semblance of balance and stability, but are often at a loss on how to do so. They lack the necessary resources and understanding to navigate this complex emotional terrain. This predicament can be viewed as their karma, their self-inflicted punishment for underestimating and discarding you. For those who don't harbor vengeful thoughts, who simply desire happiness and peace in their lives, this situation can be interpreted as a form of cosmic justice. The belief that ultimately, actions have consequences, and in due course, negative actions will have adverse effects. Sooner or later, their behavior comes back to haunt them. Even when they find a new source of emotional supply, when they are seemingly distracted by new relationships, it often doesn't fully satisfy them. The new supply or the new people in their lives don't quite do the trick, don't quite provide the distraction they seek. This is because they remain entangled in thoughts of you, the one who slipped away effortlessly, the one they underestimated. This situation challenges their self-perception as they struggle to accept that they underestimated you. Narcissists are known for their unwillingness to acknowledge their own flaws. In this scenario, you've held up a mirror to their significant flaw, but they resist accepting it. If you find yourself in such a situation, it's important to maintain your distance. There is no obligation for you to appease them or sacrifice your peace and happiness to make them feel better. It's crucial to remember that your well-being and mental health come first. By accepting the discard gracefully, you reclaim your power and demonstrate that you are capable of thriving without them. This not only unsettles the narcissist, but also empowers you to move forward with your life, free from their manipulative grasp. In conclusion, dealing with narcissists requires a deep understanding of their psychological patterns and a steadfast commitment to maintaining your dignity and control. By accepting their discard with grace and continuing to live your life with composure and strength, you can effectively counter their attempts to destabilize you. This approach not only protects your mental health, but also leaves the narcissist grappling with the reality of their diminished control. Remember, your strength lies in your ability to remain calm, composed, and focused on your own well-being, regardless of the narcissist's actions.